All right. So we're diving into Bitcoin today.
Okay.
Took a bit of a dip recently,
Yeah.
down to about 78,788 bucks on April 6th,
Right.
a 5% drop.
Interesting.
And we're going to try to unpack all the reasons why that might be.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of factors can contribute to those kinds of shifts in the crypto market.
Exactly. And we want to go beyond, just that one number
Yeah.
to get a real sense of what's going on.
The bigger picture, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe we could start with something that's, well, it feels like it's affecting everything these days.
Oh, yeah.
Global trade tensions.
Oh, absolutely.
The U.S. putting those new tariffs in place, and then China immediately hitting back with 34% tariffs on U.S. goods.
Yeah, starting April 10th, too.
Exactly, like right on the heels of it.
Really makes you wonder what that'll do to the markets.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like a lot of uncertainty.
Oh, it definitely injects a lot of uncertainty into the global economy. You know, when you have these major economies kind of going toe-to-toe like that with trade barriers,
Right.
it makes businesses hesitant.
Yeah.
They might hold back on investments, and that just kind of ripples outwards.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And that nervousness, it can spill over into financial markets, too. Investors get a little more risk-averse.
Yeah, they want to play it safe.
Exactly. They start looking at things like government bonds or just holding on to cash.
Right.
Instead of, something as potentially volatile as Bitcoin.
Oh, so it's not even directly the tariffs themselves.
Right.
It's this kind of broader fear.
Exactly. The fear of an economic slowdown that can really impact crypto.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Now we've got these sort of global economic headwinds, but then there are also these developments that are more, on the technical side.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And specifically this death cross thing that people are talking about.
Death cross, yeah.
With Bitcoin, what is that exactly?
Well, so it's a pattern that traders watch for.
Okay.
And it happens when you have the shorter-term trend line, which is the 50-day moving average price.
Gotcha.
And that drops below the longer-term one, which is the 200-day moving average.
Okay.
And this is often seen as like a bearish signal.
Oh, so it's not good.
It suggests that the downward price momentum could keep going.
Okay.
It's not a guarantee, but a lot of analysts are definitely keeping an eye on it.
So is this part of what's feeding into those predictions we've been seeing?
It could be.
About where Bitcoin might be headed?
Yeah.
Like there is some forecast saying it might end up somewhere between like 76,000 and 78,000.
By the end of April? Yeah.
But then others are saying it could dip even lower.
Yeah, down to the 52,000 to 56,000 range.
Wow.
During the summer months.
That's a huge difference.
It is a pretty big swing, and it really just highlights how uncertain things are right now.
Yeah.
These predictions, they're based on current analysis, taking into account all the different factors, but predicting the future is never easy.
No.
Especially with something as volatile as crypto.
And speaking of volatility, it's not just crypto that's been on a bit of a roller coaster lately, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're hearing comparisons to some pretty serious downturns in the stock market.
Like Black Monday back in '87.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So how does all that instability in the more traditional markets affect what happens with Bitcoin?
Well, it kind of goes back to that risk-off sentiment we were talking about.
Right.
When the traditional markets take a hit, you tend to see a ripple effect across all sorts of assets.
Oh, so it's like this overall feeling of caution.
Exactly. Investors might sell off their riskier assets.
Which would include Bitcoin.
Right. To maybe cover losses in stocks.
Yeah.
Or just because they're feeling less adventurous overall.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that reduced demand can obviously push prices down.
So we've got those trade tensions making people nervous about the economy. We've got this death cross thing potentially forming for Bitcoin.
Right.
Predictions of further price drops.
Yeah.
And this whole shaky stock market situation.
A lot to take in.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's got to be impacting investor confidence.
Oh, for sure.
In Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got uncertainty on so many fronts,
right,
it's understandable that people would be hesitant.
Absolutely.
About putting their money into anything that feels risky.
Yeah. So even though this Bitcoin dip might seem like just another blip in the world of crypto, when you really dig into it, it's actually connected to some pretty major global economic trends.
Absolutely.
And these technical indicators that traders watch so closely.
It's all interconnected.
It really is. And it makes you think about, how all these global forces can really shape what happens with digital assets.
Yeah. And how much risk is really involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you navigate this constantly changing financial world, it's definitely worth considering all of these connections.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
You too.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.